Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. In this video, we are going to perform Upsert. Upsert means we will be doing an insert for the new records and updating the old record if any value has changed. This is also a true scenario for SCD1 type. So in data warehousing, we call it slowly changing dimension types, and type 1 is a type where if you get a new record, you insert that record, and if there is an already existing record and some data points or column values has changed, you go ahead and update the same record. So here is the scenario. Let's say we have a load dimension. We have to load a dimension table from text file. Our business key is SSN, so that's a unique column. We have SSN. We need to insert new records depending upon the value of SSN column. So if it is a new SSN coming into records, we will insert that record. If any new, then we need to insert this record. If SSN already exists in the table, then we need to find out if any other column value is changed. So we will update the existing record. Now we will learn how to read the data from a flat file, how to perform lookup to find out existing or not existing records, and then finally we will write the record to the destination table if it does not exist. And if the record does exist but some value has changed, we'll update that record, and we will use OLE DB Command Transformation for that. So let me show you the table first. So here is a table called dim customer, and we have customer ID, that's identity, so 1 comma 1, so that it is incremented by 1, starting with 1. We have SSN, that's worker 11, and then we have first name, last name, address, load date, and update date, loaded by, and modified by. So these columns are called audit columns. You can have them, and it's your choice, but it's always good idea to have them, and by keeping them you can know which time this record was loaded or which date it was loaded and who loaded this record. So that's very important. Or if somebody has modified this record, you can always go and check that as well by using the modified by. Next, let's create this table first in the test database. On the other side, what we have now, we have a customer file that has SSN, first name, last name, and address. So we will be using the SSN column to match against our dim table to find out if the record exists already. We will go ahead and try to find out if there are some values has changed and update it. If does not exist, we will insert to the dim customer table. Now let's go ahead and create our SSIS package by using SSDT SQL Server Data Tools or the bids according to the version of SSIS you are using. So click on SSIS Packages tab, new SSIS package, and give a name. We can call it Upsert, or we can call it load SCD1 type. So I'm going to call it Upsert. And here, as we need to read the data from a flat file, we will be using data flow task. Inside the data flow task, we will be using the source. So here we will be using flat file source, as we are reading the data from flat file. Let's create a new connection, browse to the file, and here we are using customer file. Open, go to the columns. And one thing we have here, column names in the first data row. That's correct because I have them. So that's why it is already. I checked it. Actually it was already checked, but you can always uncheck if you don't have it. So I'm gonna leave this one as it is. So go to columns. You see your data. It is coming SSN, first name, last name, address, everything coming correct. You can go ahead in the advanced and change the length of the data for each of the column. First name, if you want to go ahead and take a look, okay, we have 50 50 and we have address 100, so you can go ahead, change it. It is already worker 50, last name is already worker 50, address is worker 50, but I want to change to 100. This will help us to remove the warnings So keep the data type and the data length of those columns exactly the same what you have in destination, and that's best to remove the warnings and other errors. So hit OK now, and then retain null values from the source as null values in the data flow. That means if you are getting some blank values in the flat file and you want to read them as null values, you can go ahead and check this box. Go to columns and hit OK. Next part, we want to see if data does exist in the table already or not. So we have to use the lookup and find out. So we are gonna get the records, all the records from the dim customer table, and then we will match them on SSN. So we will be using full cache. So when the process starts, we want to get all the records in the memory before even we start matching with our source records. So we will be using full cache. Here we will be saying redirect rows to no match output. In case there are records, they are not matching with the current data, so we will redirect them to the no match, and it will produce matching output and no matching output for us. Now we will go to connection. In the connection, select the database where you want to load the data. So in my case, I'm loading the data to test. You can go ahead and create a new one if you want. Here you have to provide the SQL server name or instance name, and then we have to provide the database name. Hit OK. So hit OK. Here I will recommend you to write the query instead of just using the table. If you use the table, you will be selecting all the columns, and you don't need that. First of all, what we need here, we need only the SSN from this table, from DBO dim customer. As I'm going to compare the data by using the SSN from source and the reference data, so I'm going to use the SSN column only. Here in the columns, I will go ahead and match that or map that, and that's all. Now what is going to happen, here I will say SSN. Now what I want to do, if the records are not matching by the SSN, what happened then? It means that those are the new records, right? They are in the source, but there is no match in the reference data. So those are new records for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert those records in the table, straightforward. OLE DB Destination here, and then I'm going to connect that to the no match, and I'm going to call this one load into DBO customer, dim customer, right? And then we can go ahead and map them. So we will select DBO dim customer and then go to mapping, and columns are already mapped because they have the same name on the input side and on the destination. So SSN is already mapped, first name, last name, and address is already mapped as well. So here these columns, if you see, load date is not there and load by is also not there. So what we need to do, we can create those columns right here. So we can go ahead and use our one of the common transformation we use is called derived column, and we can create those columns right here, and we can say to the no match, and then further connect to the our destination, and here we are going to create those columns. So by using the get date, we can use get date function and create a load time or load date time, and then here we can use the system variable and say, let me find out, we say system user somewhere here, so username, we can use that one, and that will get us the value like which user is loading this data, loaded by, and you can convert this one to the string. Right now it is Unicode string, so it is n worker. We can convert this one to the our varchar DTSTR, and then we provide 50, and then 1252 is our correlation code, and now it is converted to the string or varchar instead of an varchar. So hit OK, go back to the mapping. Here we have those columns, load date now, load date, and loaded by. So that's how you can produce these ordered columns, and they are really helpful. Now this part is done. So we get the record, we find the record is a new record that's not existing in the table, so we can go ahead and load this record. But what if the record does exist? So what we have to do, we have to use an other lookup here. Now what we are going to do, the record does exist, but there is two possibilities. Maybe all the columns are exactly the same coming from the source, and we don't need to do anything in that case. But if there is any column, let's say address has updated or last name has updated, or the first name is coming with some corrections, we need to update that record. So we are going to use the lookup again, and then here in this lookup we are going to use the same thing, redirect rows to no match if they are not matching, and here we will be using full cache as well. So get all the records in the memory before you even start working. Now go to connection, and here we will select SSN. Even we don't select SSN, that will still work because we are getting the records, but it's good idea. There could be possibility we have the same values in other columns. So let's see, SSN will say first name, last name, and address, last name, sorry, address from DBO dim customer. Now we selected all these values, and what we are going to do, we are going to map them on all the columns. By doing that, if the value does exist, if everything is matching, we don't need to do anything. But if the value does not match, what we will do, we will update that record. So hit OK, and here we will be updating that record by using OLE DB command, and go to lookup here and say no match. So we are not concerned about matching records at all. If the records are matching, we don't need to do anything, and if the record is not matching, we need to go ahead and update that record. So here we will be writing a query. First of all, we have to provide the connection where our table is, so it is in the test database. Fine, so we go here, and then we have to write our update statement. So how we will write our update statement? We'll write update DBO dim customer set first name is equal to question mark, comma, last name is equal to question mark, then we'll say address, let's put the comma before here, say address is equal to question mark, where SSN is equal to question mark. So we will be updating this record according to the values of those columns, especially SSN will be used in the where clause, and we will update these columns, first name, last name, and address. There are two other columns we have there. We can use them, and there is one column called updated by and updated updated date and modified by. So we can use the hard code values for them, or we can create these columns in the derived column transformation and use them. So let's put hard code values here, and consider this one. We can write anywhere, but let's say update date, I'm gonna do right here. Let's see if is equal to get date. I will say for the modify by, use the same way what we have done in the other way, because you want to use that system variable instead of using from here in the SQL query. You don't want to use that one. That's where that user will be the user that's going to initiate this SSIS package. You want to get that information. So let's get that information and put that. So go back here, cancel this one out, create those two columns right here exactly the same way. We can copy this and paste it here. We don't have to write everything again. We are using the same derived column, but here no match, fine. And instead of saying load date, we can call it modified date and modified by. So we can use the same, and here we can rename this one. We can call derived modified columns. So we would know that this is creating the modified columns. Now we can go back here and write our query, and here we will say modify by, sorry, updated by updated date first of all, and then is equal to question mark, and then we will be using modified by. I'm taking it slow. I know some people has really some suggestions for me, take it fast and all that, but when I take it fast, people have suggestions, okay, come back and make it slow. So I don't know. So we are updating the records, all the columns, and then we are saying where SSN matches. So go ahead, and now we will work on our OLE DB Command Transformation. Hold on one second. My alarm is on, so I need to turn it off. Give me 1 second. This early morning, I woke up early morning, 6 o'clock, just to work on the videos. And now here we will be pasting this query. Paste the query, and let's map these columns. So first of all, if you see here, you see all those parameters 1 and 0 and 2 and 3. I have done a lot of videos on OLE DB Command Transformation. You can watch. So first column, that's our, go back here. So it is first name, last name, address. So that's what it is. First name is this one, last name is this one, address is this one, and then you have the modified date or updated date right here, and then you have modified by here, because I'm looking at this query and mapping them. So with the parameters 0 and 1, they are coming in the same sequence. So this is your 1, sorry, this is your parameter 0, this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's how it is, and SSN is our 5. So we all good, we don't have to do anything else, and now our package is ready. Let's go back and take a look on our data. Right now we don't have anything in the data in the table, and there are two records. We have Ahmed Shahzad from New Jersey and USA, and we have John Rivers from North Carolina, USA, and social is 0 and 1. So let's go and run the package first time, see if it works fine. Let me go back here, write a select query for this one so we can see if the records are coming correct. So these two records are loaded, and if you see that load date is there and load by is there, because I ran this package, and the modified by and load by, update by is not there yet because we didn't modify. Now what we are going to do, we are going to make some changes in the source. So you see that the two records came, and no SSN was there, so it came right here. And in this case, what we are going to do, we are going to make some changes in the source data. And now let's put another record. So we'll put one new record, and we'll make it 3, and also change the name. So we have Christy, and last name is Robert, and she is from Texas. Alright, so we have a new record, and but one thing we noticed that the spellings of the first name was not correct here. Let's say for Amer it was not correct, so there is no 2A. We want to just keep 1A, so we want to make that update. We save that file and run the package again and see what happened. Go back, run our SSIS package, and now if you see here, one record came here because Christy was the record that was not existing. So very first lookup give us the matching SSN or not SSN. So we find out, okay, there is a record, there's a new SSN, so that has to go here by using this lookup, and 2 records came here. So if you see 2 records came here, that was Amer and existing one John River. But what happened then, further this lookup sorted them out or filtered them, and there was only one record in which the value was changed, so which have changed the name of Amer, and that came down and updated the record. So now go back and run our query, and we will see what happened here. As we have changed the name of this first name for Amer, so now it is bringing AMIR instead of it was AAMIR. That's updated, and then you can see that the update date is also available, and modified by is also available. Christy, she also came as a new record, and you can see that she's from Texas, USA, and that's the loaded date, and who loaded it by, it's loaded by me because that's what I initiated this package. So that's how you can create your Upsert package, or the package for slowly changing type 1 dimension. And there are multiple ways as you are extracting the records here. If you see here, you are extracting 2 times SSN, for one for SSN and one for your other columns. You can actually go ahead on top of this one and use the cache transformation, and in that way you don't have to use or don't have to extract the data from the lookup table or destination table twice. So you can just use the cache on top of that in one data flow. That will put the data in the memory, and then you will be using in this data flow as the same data. So that save us resources and save us memory as well, and making calls to the SQL server. I'm going to make some videos on that one, how to use the cache transformation. So stay tuned. And once again, I'm sorry for making the videos long, but I want to take all the steps and go slow by slow. Anybody can follow from very basics, or learn. The first time person who's watching the video, he can go ahead and do the things. So that's my approach. Yes, this could have done in just 5 minutes really fast, but I want to take time and show to the people who don't know or are trying to learn SSIS from very basics. Thanks very much, and I will see you in next video.